there's a lot to learn about platforms too.
Exactly. And just when you learn it, it changes.
I know, I've noticed that.
Okay, looks like we're live on Facebook and it's actually working for us. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Today I have a very special guest here, and her name is Elisa James. She's a voice coach and presenter, a speaker trainer, and she's here to teach us how to have the voice of a leader. So get yourself comfortable, go and get yourself a pen and paper, Les Summer, and make sure you've got your notes ready because she's going to give us some great tips. So we're not going to start till 10, but if you're joining us now, Elisa's just getting ready, but when she joins us, maybe she'll give us some vocal warming exercises. Because I do know that our Elisa will share this with you, but your voice is a muscle, and so any muscle that you use that you don't warm up, you can damage. Not that we get up every morning and warm our voice up before we speak, do we? But it's definitely something we need to be doing and mastering if we want to have, I guess, really good communication. So there's so much to communication, and our voice is such a powerful thing. And okay, so bear with me. I'm just getting the link to share this into some groups and my pages. If you've got any questions for Elisa, please put them in the chat bar. What questions have you got around, voice training or speaker, presentation? What comes to mind when you think about, how you could improve your voice or how you could improve your communication? She's going to share with us, obviously, her top tips, but it would be great to get some questions from our viewers as well. And let us know in the chat what your business is and where you're joining from. I'd love to know too. So are you there, Elisa?
Yes, I am.
We'll just need your camera. There you are.
Hello. Welcome. Good morning. Nice to see you here. You look like you're in a beautiful sunshine, warm. I mean, where are you? This is gorgeous. Sitting on a beach somewhere. You've got the life.
Yes. Well, I'm in my happy place, and my happy place is the beach. So if I could be down there 24/7, I would. Although I know we've got to be careful of the sun here in Australia and not get too much sun, but get enough vitamin D to have a healthy immune system. So
absolutely, and ward off that pesky depression and things like that. When I was living in Europe years ago, we actually noticed that we were getting that seasonal depression because of the lack of sunshine. It was cloudy all the time. We weren't getting enough fresh air and sunshine and warmth. So we ended up going to a tanning salon, feeling like an idiot, going to a tanning salon and literally sitting there because I don't have brown skin, I'm a white Caucasian sort of person. And so we went there, and believe it or not, it actually works. That vitamin D, that full spectrum light, even for 20 minutes once a week, made a huge difference. It was amazing.
Yeah. See, I get sad if it's cloudy. I really do. And sometimes when we have 6 weeks of rain here, because I live in one of the highest rainfall regions in Australia, I get really down. So
I lived in Europe for a long time, so I love cloudy days and rainy days and cozy days, because it means when you're in Europe, of course, it means you can wear your coats and your favorite jeans and your boots and and a nice scarf and stuff, and then you go inside and everybody has fireplaces and it's all cozy, and then you get those warm drinks of wine. Glühwein is one of my favorites. You get to drink warm wine. It's really nice. But
yes,
yeah,
well, I guess you
do that here.
Positives when you are living in those climates, for sure. And I mean, I love the snow, but I like the cold when it has a purpose, such as skiing. Snuggling in front of a fire sounds nice too. I don't mind that, with a hot chocolate or a mulled wine.
Yes, absolutely. So what are we going to talk about today? And we're starting on the hour, are we?
We're starting on the hour, yes. So I've just
Great.
live streamed onto Facebook just to get everyone ready, because there's a delay with lives, especially if you're streaming from another platform. But Facebook Live in general has a delay due to the New Zealand massacre. That's when it came in. So when I was doing my International Women's Day Summit last year, I interviewed 44 women in 5 different countries over 2 days. And we'd already marketed it and sent it out that we'll be starting at 10 a.m. And everyone was looking for the stream, saying, I can't find it, like, you're not there. But then they found us 10 minutes after, because they changed it overnight. So they didn't have time to notify everybody.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. So that's really cool for people who do a lot of Facebook Lives, and especially in this format, from Zoom to Facebook or Zoom to YouTube. You can do YouTube Live now. That's really good to know.
Yes. So
those little technical things is a lot of people don't know these things.
Exactly. So, you can have a countdown on your screen on Zoom. You can put up a clock that's counting down. You can put on some royalty-free music. Make sure you're not using your favorite music, because you'll get your account closed down. If you're lucky, you'll just get the video muted. But their favorite music on in the background, thinking, oh, it's only a little bit. I had a client of mine say to me yesterday, she got into trouble off Facebook, and it was the neighbours playing music.
Oh my God.
But it was coming through on her Facebook Live, and so her video got muted. Like,
yeah. And that's happened to me too. But I wonder if you've got your own music, because I've got a lot of my own original tracks.
If they're your own originals, that's okay. I do see a lot of people put up covers. I know myself and my partner, we've sometimes have put up songs of us singing covers, but I know we're not allowed to. Like, I've got a mentor who just said, you teach video, Melissa, and you cannot afford to be doing that, knowing that, she told me about a guy who got a $60,000 fine issued. But see, a lot of people are doing it right now in the pandemic, and they're going, well, everyone else is. I'm like, well, if you don't have a business page that could be closed down, maybe you don't care so much. But I'm extremely careful with, doing stuff like that. I might be sneaky and post it into my group, into my 30-day video challenge group, because they're not going to see, me and my partner singing for that. But yeah, just be very careful what you post on your page. But well, Elisa, we'd love to see you. I'm waiting for the tonight, Friday night. I'd love to sit back and hear you sing on your page.
Oh yeah, I never do that, because I don't really teach a lot of singing anymore, and it's certainly not something that I do as a profession full time anymore. So what I notice is when you sing and you haven't sung for a while, things behave very differently. It's like going to the gym and trying to pull, big weights. If you haven't done a lot of exercise, it's exactly the same. So even though I exercise my full speaking range all the time, and I do teach some singing, I'm very lazy when it actually comes to singing whole songs. So it's on my list to do, but there's a very long list that I have. Singing is at the end of it.
There's a Facebook group called Lockdown Mic. And there's a lot of people posting their original songs in there, some covers.
That's nice.
And, they're amateur people right up to professional people. And the thing is, it doesn't matter. If it brings you joy, then do it. And I know it would bring anyone joy to hear you sing. And we are our biggest critics.
Yeah, absolutely.
There, and we think we can't put this out because it's not perfect in regards to singing, in regards to doing videos.
Yep.
I'm going to be judged by my peers. That would be big for you. What if a record label sees it and, oh no, whether you think you want to get back into singing or not, maybe you would in 5 years' time decide to go back into something, musical theatre.
Well, when musical theatre actually opens up again, I was actually asked to do Menopause the Musical again this year, because I did the Australian tour last year. So that was great, because when you have a gig and you have a booking and somebody's paying you, it's like, okay, come on, time to get working. And then you start getting the instrument back into shape again. It's like getting ready for a marathon, because I was doing shows every single night, sometimes 7, 8 shows a week. And that's touring life.
Yes.
And this year we had the big tours of Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, all booked, and they needed people to help them out with understudy. And when the stars fell out, then we would need to be stepping in. All of that got cancelled. And now next year, hopefully, the new regional tour for the whole of Australia will start up again. And I've been asked to do that as the soap star, because that's my role. Yeah. So that will be fun if we can all get everything going again fast. Yeah. It was a really fun musical. I really loved it, because it makes singing really fun, because it's not serious. Yes. It's a silly, funny show singing about menopause, for goodness sake. I mean, about hot flushes all day long and mood swings and not being able to sleep. And I mean, it's just hilarious. So to do that tongue in cheek, all dressed up, it was really, really great fun. So I like that type of singing. That's fun. Because that's just taking the mickey out of yourself and having the audience have a ball along the way. And it's not serious. It's not like, look at I'm so fabulous. It's not show off singing. It's just fun, silly singing. That's what I like these days. Yes, because it brings people so much joy. And you're right, with singing, a lot of people leave it to the performers to sing instead of just enjoying their own instrument. Like, feeling that vibration is so good for our body. For everyone.
Yes, even if you feel like you're not a singer. I mean, singing in the shower or singing in the kitchen, whatever, just singing along the radio in the car, like, yeah.
Oh, look, absolutely. And I encourage all of my speaker clients even to sing, especially if they've had some sort of trauma around speaking up and speaking out for themselves. That'll be a huge issue for them. Making sound sometimes is a huge issue. Being heard is a huge issue. So can you imagine singing for them is even more of an issue? But, I work with cultures all over the world who just sing and don't think about it. When I work with my Samoan kids over there, they sing morning, noon, and night all day long. It's fabulous. I love it. And they sing in beautiful 3-4 part harmony with no training. It's so inspirational.
Yes. Well, everyone's starting to join us now. So thank you for joining in. You haven't missed out. We just started the live stream early to ensure that Facebook and Zoom were going to play today and we could get it right. So thank you so much for joining us today with my very special guest, Elisa James. She's a professional speaker, a voice coach and presentation coach. And she's here today to teach us how to have the voice of a leader. I would love for you to put in the comments if you're joining us here on Zoom. Come over onto Zoom if you want to ask us questions, because I'm not going to be answering questions on Facebook. It's too much to navigate. So click on the link and join us in Zoom. And if you've got, please put in the chat bar, where are you joining us from, number 1, and number 2, what's your business? So we'd love to see who's joining us, and Elisa would love to know what sort of people we've got on here that are looking for vocal coaching. And as I said before, that our voice is one communication tool of many aspects of communication, but it's a very important tool, especially if we want to be an effective speaker, which so many of us do and are, if we are in business. Whether we think we're a speaker or not, we are a speaker. And every time we talk to someone, when we meet them, every time we get on a video or Zoom, we are speaking about our business. So I'm just trying to admit everyone at the same time into the call. So I'm going to hand it over to Elisa, and she's going to just tell us a little bit about her background, what makes her credible to do this training for us, and then share some things with us how we could improve our voice so that we can be a more effective speaker and a better leader.
Yes, hi. Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Elisa James, and I'm a holistic voice coach and the voice mastery mentor. And what my passion is in life and in business is really helping people speak up and out for themselves. And it started out for me with that goal for people who really had struggled with PTSD or anxiety or trauma. and they couldn't really speak up and speak out for themselves. They felt like something was holding them back. But as a ex-performer and voice coach, which I'll tell you about a little bit about later, my major goal these days is to really help aspiring speakers and business owners and entrepreneurs to engage, inspire, and ignite their audiences to some sort of action so they can be motivated to really change their life. And that's what I'm all about these days. So my background, just to give you a little bit of information, my background is as a performer. And for 35 years, I traveled the world as a singer, dancer, actor. And it started out very interesting for me because as a little girl, I really wanted to be a professional actress. That was my biggest goal. But the problem was that I was so insecure and so shy and so riddled with problems in self-confidence and anxiety that I literally couldn't speak up and speak out for myself. And that's what really started me on my journey to self-expression and performing arts. So when I was sort of pushed out of my shell, if you like, into my first baton twirling competition and then ice skating competition and piano things and things like that, funnily enough, I wasn't allowed to use voice at that time. I was allowed to use my body for whatever reason, but singing lessons was not allowed. I did acting and dancing and acrobatics and trapeze and gym, all sorts of things. But singing didn't really take over until I was about 14 years old. And when I realized that this was really the way that we express ourselves, it changed my life forever. Because not only did I notice that when we're using our voice for performance, we can affect people. Absolutely. Watch them smile and light up, their faces light up, and they enjoy things. But when we speak, we can also affect people. So over the years, that shift came for me from performer to coach to teaching performing arts as a living, as a coach, and then shifted to, well, hang on, normal people, sometimes everyday people, need better voice skills so they can speak up and speak out for themselves in life and feel more fulfilled. Because I know what it was like when I was struggling in my 20s and 30s with finding my own voice. I really struggled with finding my own voice because I found that a lot of people had shut me down. I had been traumatized a lot. I'd suffered from sexual abuse and physical abuse, emotional abuse. There's lots of things that went on in my life that really shut me down and stopped me from speaking out for myself. So when I realized that that was a huge issue for so many people, that's what I started to focus on. How do people get the confidence in their own body, in their own mind, in their own voice to really speak their truth with authenticity and confidence on camera and on stage? So that's where I focus my attention now. So when I was traveling around the world as an entertainer, I did that for 35 years, mostly acting, singing, presenting, speaking on camera, on stage for thousands of people worldwide. And after I moved to Europe, and I did that for a long time, then I did on cruise ships for a long time, sailed around the world and saw pretty much every port in the entire universe, in the entire world that you can imagine. The only places I've not been is Canada and Japan. So that was a really wonderful experience. And then taking my cabaret shows to America finally before heading home. Now, along the way, as a performer, I realized that maybe one day I won't want to sing for a living anymore. So what would I do if I decided to have a plan B? That's when I went back to university and started to study seriously, because I was a school dropout. I was on shows from the age of 14, 15, being paid for traveling around Australia, singing and dancing and acting. So I didn't really need school. So I really felt that I was lacking in that department. So at about 35, I did my very first degree, and it was in holistic nutrition, a bachelor degree, because I wanted to heal the things that were annoying my voice, like my allergies, sinus, hay fever, asthma, like all these things that I grew up with as a child that was just debilitating. Every time I got sick like that, I would lose my voice. So I wanted to get a handle on why the heck am I losing my voice and can't I fix this? Because the doctors weren't helping. So I did that degree first. And then I realized it's not only about what we put in our body and what we drink and eat. It's also about what we think. our belief systems, our breath management, our anxiety management. It's all that other stuff. So then I went on to do a master's degree in holistic health and spiritual counseling and did a lot of work around energy and energy medicine. And that started to put all the pieces in place for me. And then I got really super excited because I'd done voice and lived off my voice for 30 years with lots of issues along the way that I had to fix. So I thought, you know what? I would really love to do my final degree in voice. So I came back to Australia then a few years ago and did a master's degree in vocal production. So now when I teach using all of those tools, 30 years of being on stage and on camera with those degrees in that background. So I teach from a holistic perspective. And that's why people call me a holistic voice coach. And a lot of people need that holistic approach because it's not just about this tiny little instrument. Voice is so much more. When you think about your voice, and let's hear it in the chat for a little bit, because I know that this chat is active and I would love to hear your feedback. What do you think affects your voice and the way that you speak? Type it in the chat and I'm going to share it with everybody on the call today. What do you think affects your voice and the way you speak? You can type one word or one sentence. Yes. So Michelle said breathing, anxiety, also confidence, emotions. Absolutely. Who can speak with a nice stable voice when you're crying and you're really upset? It's not possible. And funnily enough, when actors come to me, a lot of casting directors send their actors to me because when they get emotional in a scene, their voice goes all over the shop and they can't be understood and they just go crazy. So they have to be able to rein in their voice skills even when they're in that upset mode. So we've got, yes, emotional state and confidence. Yes. And where does confidence come from? Think about it. Tiredness, yes. Fatigue, lack of energy, lack of good health is absolutely going to affect your voice. Experience, sure. Yes, absolutely. But can you see, like really, I've got a list here. It's mindset, belief system, familial conditioning, our cultural perspective. Where did we grow up? What was the way that our peers were talking to us? What was the way that our family was talking to us? Our digestive health, that was a big one for me because at some point in my career, quite a few years ago, I had massive reflux and I didn't even know what heartburn and reflux was. And I didn't realize that I was losing my voice and speaking like that. I was very croaky. And it wasn't because I had anything wrong with my voice. It was because the acid was literally burning the fumes of the acid, which is literally burning my vocal folds and making them swell up and they couldn't behave very well anymore. So your digestive health can absolutely affect your voice. I feel like I come across as an Aussie bogan. Yes, I have a really interesting little short video. I'll have to find it and send it to Melissa, where I teach a bogan how to do proper voice projection and shapes. I do debogenize people. That's part of what I do. And anyone can switch bogan on or off. It's just a matter of learning how to use your articulators and the shape. And I find that a lot of Australians, especially in Queensland, I find myself in Queensland these days. I'm not from Queensland, but I live here now. There are so many people who don't move their mouth when they speak. Have you noticed? Yeah, mate, how you going? Oh, it's really good to see you. We sound like crows. We literally sound like crows. So when I'm teaching twang, give my regards to Broadway, they're teaching that sort of loud American singing. It's a twang that literally sounds like a crow. And when we have that crow sound, it's like this burning sound that bores into your head and annoys people. You do not want to sound like a crow when you speak. You want to have an open vowel sound that comes from your mouth. So when the sound literally comes from the place that it's meant to, it's going to be more aesthetically pleasing. But the thing is that our mindset is the very first step in voice, the mindset. So the last piece is health and fitness levels, of course, genes and facial structure, and last but not least, habits that have been adopted unconsciously or learned along the way. Because if you come from someone, a background, say, I've got some people in the country in Queensland, they will absolutely sound more bogan, if you like, or more Queensland country people than somebody who comes from the northern shores of Sydney, for instance. So somebody from Vaucluse is going to sound different to someone from Queensland. Generally speaking, of course, that's a generalization. It's not completely true. Make sure that you've got your mics off just so we don't have dogs and things in the background barking. Any questions around that? I think TV personality who could somebody said that there's a TV personality who could use some help with being deboganized. Yes. And look, it's just a combination of the shape of our mouth, the shape of our vowels, and how well our articulation is being used. And I find that a lot of Australians have got very lazy articulators, but it's not only Australians, because I have Asian, Indian, and Pakistani, American, Canadian. I have people from all over the place. And this is the thing that usually is interesting for me, the psychology behind the sound. When somebody does not use their articulation very well and doesn't open their mouth, it can be from something that went on in their past. So for instance, I was speaking to a Canadian client this morning, and she shared with me that she was a singer, a dancer, an actor. She was on stage in high school. Everything was going great. She loved being on stage. And then something happened in a performance somewhere in the middle of high school where it just all went to poo and disaster hit, and the whole audience laughed at her. From that moment forward, she completely shut down. She stopped performing forever, and then she ended up being traumatized by that experience and bullied by other people. So for years, decades, we're talking, not just years, decades, she did not speak on camera or on stage because of that belief system of, I can't do it because people will laugh at me or mock me or bully me or shut me down. And this is where a lot of people have blockages these days. They have blockages around, if I speak up and speak out for myself, who's going to criticize me? Who's going to judge me? Who's going to give me flack? But you know what? We can't please everybody. It's just not possible. And I remember Brendan Burchard saying, one of my favorite mentors, he said, if you're not pissing somebody off, you're not visible enough. And I'm sure that Melissa would resonate with that. If you're not pissing somebody off, you're not visible enough. You're going to get naysayers and you're going to get haters. That's just the way it is. We can't help everybody. We just can't. So does anyone have any questions about mindset, about voice, about something that you're struggling with in that area? So if you've got trauma, if you've got unresolved trauma, especially if you suffer from anxiety, if you suffer from PTSD, if you've been bullied in the past, you'll find that certain muscles in your body may not work as effectively as they could. And maybe this is the first time you're hearing this. So this is the interesting thing. I find that people who've been bullied or criticized and shut down at a very young age, they hold their tongue. They literally hold their tongue. So when they're talking, they sort of talk like this. So they pull back. The tongue literally pulls back. If you've heard Cher, for instance, it's a really good indication of, do you believe in life after love? She's got such tongue retention. She pulls the tongue right back when she sings. When speakers do that, they tend to cough. Has anyone ever had that issue? Just put your hands up because I can see you actually on the screen. Yeah. So when you have some tension around your throat muscles or around your tongue, that usually has come from the past, something in the past you've learned out of survival mechanism to hold your tongue and pull back. And when we literally hold our tongue and pull back, we tighten our jaw. We don't use our jaw properly, so the vowels cannot be heard. So you probably end up speaking through your nose. That's one symptom of not using your jaw. You're going to literally speak through your nose. If you open your jaw, the sound can come out of your mouth. If we start to welcome these muscles here, R, A, E, O, U, properly in proper vowel shapes, the sound will literally come out of your mouth and not get stuck into your nose. So you won't sound so superior. Oh my God, some people sound very superior when they speak through the nose. I don't know why, but they just do. So they're perceived wrongly just because of bad voice skills, nothing to do with feeling superior at all. But some of my clients will tell me that people perceive them as being holier than thou and a little bit high and mighty, but that's not the truth. It's just that they don't move their mouth and they sound a little bit monotone. And when people have had these experiences in life, the mindset issues and the belief systems that are holding them back, they'll also have other manifestations. They'll have a monotone voice that sort of goes like that, and it's the same pitch all the way through. They're very held back. They're very inhibited in the way that they express themselves. So this will really come out in the voice. Somebody's Amanda, I think, hang on, the chat is moving. Guys, camera on computer not working. Oh, okay. That's fine. Archetypes of speakers like crows and bogans. Yeah, that's interesting. Archetypes. Okay. So yes, bogan is usually a cultural thing, and that's fine. And I've got cousins and family members that are absolutely country people and they sound more bogan. If that's your world, nobody cares. They really don't care. The only reason that people would come to me to fix bogan sounds is because usually they're a coach or an author or an entrepreneur or a business owner that needs to be teaching overseas as well. So a lot of my clients are from overseas and they need to be understood globally. So if you're an Australian doing business overseas like I do, you need to be understood. That's the bottom line of it. Even if you have an accent. So we have an accent, say a bogan is an accent, and an Indian would have an accent, or an Asian person would have an accent. I don't like changing people's accents, but I like to soften them and neutralize them so they can just be understood by a worldwide audience. That's it. Your message is the most important thing that you can share. So you don't want to have anything getting in the way of that message. You don't want to have unpleasant vocal sounds that are going to annoy people or turn them off. And you don't want to have people struggling to hear you or understand you because you're not speaking clearly enough. So when I teach articulation, vowel shapes, things like that for international vowel sounds, it's only so we can be understood by a global audience. And there's things that she was saying, archetypes. Melissa's asking about archetypes. Thank you, Melissa. I didn't see you. I didn't read the writing properly. And the archetype of the superiority, the way that shows up for a lot of my students is some weird things like the nasal sound, a sniff also. It's a really subtle thing, but when people sniff like that, it makes them seem a little bit superior. It's just one of those not even spoken rules. So you don't want to do that, and you don't want to speak through your nose because it makes you sound a little bit, superior. And then you also don't want to put your head up. Now that's a really bad habit that I've got when I'm shooting video, because I get excited and I get my energy levels up. But when you're bringing your head down, not only can your breath function and your instrument work better, but you actually look better on camera rather than having that lifted thing. But when people have this all the time, it's sort of like looking down your nose at people. So if you have that lifted, it again gives the impression that you feel more superior, which is just not true. It's just a habit. That's all it is. Okay, we have another one here. Tips to deepen your voice. Okay, so Moana Robinson said that. Now, tips to deepen your voice. Well, first of all, I would like to ask why you would want to deepen your voice, but then I'm going to go into how you can do that in a second. The reason that most people feel like that they need to deepen their voice, or what we're talking about here, is lower the pitch. When we lower the pitch and speak from a lower pitch, as you can see, I'm focusing now on speaking from a low voice box perspective. I can absolutely do that if I work really hard with my stomach muscles and allow the airflow to continue to come through. But I know how to do that, and it's really tiring, and I couldn't be bothered. And the problem is that when most people don't know proper voice production, this is what they do when they lower their pitch instead of doing proper voice production. They end up going like that. So now I've lowered my pitch, but I'm not doing it properly. And so you'll hear that not only is my pitch lowered and my voice box has been lowered to the lowest position possible right now, but I'm not producing sound properly. So it sounds throaty and croaky. And when you lower your pitch, incorrectly like that, you cannot project your voice. So it is not useful at all unless you really have a goal for it. Now, if you ever have a really high-pitched voice and it's really annoying and you sound like a little girl, well, that's a different story. Yes, you do need to lower your pitch to be taken a little bit more seriously. So the people that usually ask me these questions are usually under the age of 30. They're usually around at the age of 26, in fact, and girls especially, and girls who have this high pitch and sometimes a little bit of a daddy thing. They've got their daddy is their favorite person in the world, and they go into that little girl voice a lot, especially when you're nervous or anxious or stressed. We go into that little high girl voice. It holds you back from moving forward in life. A lot of my clients around about that 26-year mark, they've got 10 years or 8 years experience in the corporate world. They may be a real estate agent or someone who's really moving up in the world, and they need a sound that's more authoritarian. And that's why they need to lower their pitch. But it's only a few people that need to take it from that little girl height down to a little bit more of a womanly grounding. Those people need to lower their voice box. So I'll show you quickly how to do that because it's quite fun for people who need to do it. But I want you to do it the right way with no croakiness and no strangling yourself by holding the breath. Okay, there's no holding the breath allowed in voice because you end up sounding like that, which is ridiculous and nobody's going to listen to you. So let's put our hands around our voice box. This is an interactive class. Have you noticed? Okay, put your hand around a voice box. And you'll notice that if you literally wiggle your voice box like that, you'll notice it moves around a little bit, okay? So just make a sound. All your mics are off, so you're not going to be heard by the world. It's all good. Okay, now I want you to track what happens to the voice box. It's just two little cartilages like this. It's sitting on top of each other. Guys have a bigger one. Girls have a smaller one. Now swallow and see where it goes. What do you notice? Did you notice that it goes up and down? Yeah. So naturally, our voice box knows what to do when we go high and low. So let's try this for a second. I want you to pretend that you're going to sing a really high note. Now you can actually do that because your mics are off. It's no big deal. So I'm going to show you what I mean by a high note, and then I'm going to go as though I'm going to sing the high note, and you'll find that your voice box does exactly the same thing. So ready? I want to sing a high note, right? So imagine that high note in your head for a second and go to sing the high note, but don't do it. What do you notice? Yeah. See that? Your voice box automatically goes up because your body already has the intention to sing a high note. And when we think a high note, automatically our voice box will do that. So we can change our voice box position anytime. And anytime that you're changing your voice box position, your pitch is going to change just from the intention. Now let's lower our voice box. We're going to do the other thing, okay? So now we're going to do a low note. We're going to think a low note. I'll produce it for you, so I'll show you what I mean. That's one of my wellest produced lowest notes. I can't go very low because I'm a girl. I can go maybe to a G, F or an E, 3. That's about it. Now go to make the sound even without making the sound. See what happens? Your voice box automatically goes down to the lowest position. Now here's a trick. If you need to have a lower voice for whatever reason, if that's what you think you need, this is 2 ways to do it. You're going to take a yawn breath as though you're literally taking in a nice wide open breath, yawn. What do you notice immediately? Did you notice your voice box went down? Yeah? Okay. So number 1, when you yawn, not smile, but yawn, your voice box goes down. The easiest way to get around that so you don't have to yawn every time you want to lower your voice box is literally to lower your jaw. High. So I want you to say a low, high. Drop your jaw. High. So take a big open throat breath. Like I want you to hear the airflow for a second coming in, so you're not like a meditation breath. We're not meant to do that, but that's just to show you how open your throat can feel. High. Do you notice how rich and resonant and deep that sound now is? Now I'm going to give you one more tip. Put your hand on your tummy, over your belly button. So you got your hand on your belly button. Now I want you to do that same exercise again. Open throat breath, drop your jaw, high. And this time I want you to pull your belly in mindfully at the same time. Go high. Do you notice you have more power? Because now you're not pushing from here. Go croaky. So Moana goes croaky. So that means that she's not producing the sound properly. So when you go croaky, like that, you're literally shutting the gate here and you're not letting the air flow through. And that's a big problem for a lot of people, especially when they've got those mindset issues and the background of, some sort of being shut down or traumatized or bullied, or maybe you had a critical or a judgmental parent of some sort. When that happens, what happens to us is we literally have this unconscious mechanism that holds back, like I told you before. And when we literally hold back, you'll notice that you're holding your breath. And when you're holding your breath, you're going to sound croaky. That's what you're going to do. And do you notice when you sound croaky, the two places that are tight are your stomach muscles and your throat muscles? Literally straight away, when you hold the breath and arrest the breath, that's what's going to happen. So let's move on. So that was how to deepen your voice. What are some good ways to loosen up in this? Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's do a sigh down. This is a really simple, mindful and exercise in sighing down, but with an open throat. So I want you to imagine that this vocal tract here is a really open space for you, like a pipe. Imagine a PVC pipe, but it's a loosey-goosey one. So we're going to open that pipe and we're going to have that airflow coming through beautifully, unencumbered the entire time. So if I was doing this exercise wrong, it would sound like this. It sounds like I'm being strangled. It reminds me of an old movie, and I can't think of what it is, but it was a really funny movie where they sounded like they're all strangling to death. Okay, but we want Monty Python, I think. We want an open channel, all the way down. You want to feel and hear that airflow all the time. Remember, drop the jaw, open the throat. Everyone try it. From the high to low. It doesn't have to be too high because we're just using speaking voice here. This is not a singing lesson. Try until it just literally runs out of steam. Very domineering dad. There you go. See, that's the psychology behind the sound, guys. If you have a very domineering, if you had a domineering parent, you grew up being criticized and judged a lot, then you would have been shut down very quickly. And when you're shut down very quickly as a child, we learn the way to get through childhood in one piece and not get yelled at and not get hit is to literally shut down. So when people shut down, they do that and they start having all these tension patterns and the croakiness comes out in their voice and they go monotone and they're not using their articulation and they might trail off. And a lot of people will have trouble hearing that. And that's part of what I fix to make sure that your clients, your audience can hear every word, because that's how you get your message across and that's how you grow your business. You've got to be heard and understood. Your message is more important than your voice, but your voice sometimes gets in the way. Your mindset sometimes gets in the way. So who could actually do that exercise and have that free, beautiful air flowing all the way down? Just type yes or no. Because it might take some of you some practice. You might feel a little tightness in the throat. Yes, yes, good. Oops, I have to go back down the chat for a second. If you have any tips to break through PTSD, anxiety, fear of being seen. Yep, okay, great. I have goosebumps. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm good at singing. Oh, sighing. I'm good at sighing. Okay, awesome. Okay, if you're good at sighing, that means you're loosening up all those throat muscles. You're literally letting them go. And that's what we have to do. When we are speaking, here's a little mantra that I want you to think about. I want you to think about the airflow coming from the hips to the lips, from the hips to the lips. Because when we really think about the way that voice works, it's really fascinating. I want you to think about your tummy muscle like an accelerator pedal. If you're imagining your tummy muscle as your accelerator pedal, then blow for me and use your accelerator pedal for a second. Pretend you just have to blow something off the computer. Do you notice that when your intention is to blow hard, that your tummy will literally come in for you? Do you notice that? When we're using our tummy as our accelerator pedal, the air will naturally flow up the trachea, blow the vocal folds into a beautiful vibration, and then come out of the mouth. No incumbent or no intrusion from the from the throat muscles. We don't want the throat muscles to go like that, because the second we tighten our throat muscles, we hold the breath. And holding the breath is the worst thing you can do, because not only will it change the way that you sound, it will also affect the way that you think when you're on camera and on stage. And all of you are here in this class because you want to get your business online on camera, right? So you want to make sure that when you're on camera, you can think and speak in fluid sentences and not go and get caught up in your head and then start holding your breath. Because when we go into fight or flight, which a lot of us do when we're on camera and on stage, the breath is the first thing that gets arrested. And not only does it stop the voice production properly, but it stops our thoughts, because all the blood and the oxygen is rushing to the muscles, because it's a muscle priming activity. When we go into fight or flight, it's literally getting the muscles ready to fight or flight. That's it. That's the entire use of the adrenal system to protect us from harm and make sure we can run away from danger. But it arrests the breath very fast, and then we can't think, we can't breathe, and we certainly can't speak in fluid sentences. So learning how to breathe with your tummy muscle as your accelerator, from your hips to your lips, is a huge step forward, especially with people with anxiety and trauma. So put your hands on your tummy muscle. This is my pretend tummy muscle for a minute. I'm going to teach you one sentence, and I want you to say this whenever you're nervous and you're getting on camera. When I am speaking, my tummy moves in. And I want you to say it out loud and hear the airflow beautifully flowing out of your mouth. When I am speaking, my tummy moves in. One more time. When I am speaking, my tummy moves in. Who can feel that the air just beautifully flows? Unencumbered. Do you feel that? Yeah. Awesome. And it really makes a huge difference. A tiny little thing, but it makes a huge difference. Is loud. Okay, Moana says, hang on, I'll go back to Barbie for a second. I've noticed that the more confidence I get on video, my voice gets stronger. Yes. And sometimes wonder whether it's coming across too strong for others, or is that me having not total confidence in the way that I speak? Look, strength of voice is great, but it's like anything. Too much of a good thing is not a good thing anymore. So if you're really, you know, the old-fashioned American TV commercials, oh my God, when I was living in America, it would drive me crazy. They'd literally yell at you at a really high pitch, at a really high volume. And me as an Australian, I don't respond to that. So I'd turn down the volume. I couldn't handle it. So anything of the sameness is going to drive people crazy. So Barbie, the answer is make sure that you're using lots of inflections, pitch, prosody, which is musical inflection in voice. Just change up your voice the whole time, because when you change your voice, people pay attention because they don't know what's coming. If it's same, they'll switch off. So that's the only bad thing about strength. Okay, Moana says, is loud sighing a good exercise to do on a, well, okay, loud. We don't need to loudly sigh. The idea of the sigh is to literally let go of tension in your throat muscles. If you have tension in your throat muscles, you want to just relax the throat muscles and practice that sigh. But if you like, I think Melissa wanted us to do some warm-up exercises. Are you guys open to doing that? Your microphones are off. You have no fear here. We're not, you can turn them on if you like, but it might be a bit noisy, like a room full of chickens or something. So is there any good way to practice fluidity and better Vocab. Yes, that exercise that I just gave you will absolutely help you with that. Yes, please. Okay, awesome. All right. So the very first exercise I'm going to teach you is about the bubble. Now, let me just do a little disclaimer here. As a singer, and if does anyone sing here? And I should hope that all of you would put your hands up, but anyone quite serious about singing or has sung professionally in the past, or choirs, karaoke? Who's done karaoke? Come on, hands up. And I don't care if it's bad or good, you know, that's your perception. Singing is good for you, okay? Now, when we're singing, we usually sing with two different areas that we use. We use that higher range for things like opera, classical, musical theater, like, you know, all that sort of upper range stuff. But when we're speaking or singing pop music, pop, rock, R&B, jazz, blues, anything that's contemporary music that you hear on the radio is just speaking range, just being extended a little bit. It's just literally your speaking voice being extended a little bit with the breath, okay? That's it. So when I'm teaching speakers, we focus on that bottom part of the register mostly. But here's the thing. If you bash your vocal folds together only in the one area for hours and hours and hours, you will get tired. So we need to stretch and loosen the voice, just like we need to do yoga stretching. You know, when you're doing a yoga stretch at home, or you're stretching your body, it feels better because you're loosening up all the muscles. So we're going to be first loosening up both areas of the range, okay? Both areas of the range, and then I'm going to teach you how to do only the speaker one. So did you do that, Melissa? I didn't, sorry, that was, yeah, do it again, that's fine. I just got distracted by it. I thought I hit something by accident. My fault. She was just making my video go bigger. Okay, so first of all, this is called the bubble. Oh, you took a photo. Okay, my bad. Fiddle around with the video as much as you like. Put your hands here. I'll try not to get my microphone in the way. The only reason that we do this is to take the weight off the cheeks. And I happen to have very heavy cheeks, so it really helps me. I don't know if it helps you, but you can try. And we want to do this with the least amount of effort and energy and air. And most people try too hard. So there's no try too hard here. One breath. Pull the tummy in as you make the sound, and you're going all the way up and all the way down. Now, if you lose air halfway through, just go to the top, rebreathe, and come all the way back down again. This stretches the entire range, the speaking voice and the singing voice, and back to the speaking voice. And we're just going backwards and forwards, okay? But it makes it seamless and effortless for everybody. Now, you'll notice that some people get stuck. Is anyone getting stuck? Yeah, sometimes you can get stuck. And some people get stuck in two ways. So I can tell what's going on when I hear you personally. I'll tell you what's going on. But this is, for instance, if someone speaks like this in a really high, light voice and they're sort of stuck there, this is what they'll do instead. And they'll get halfway and then it'll just disappear, because their speaking voice is not grounded. It doesn't sound like the voice of a leader. Whereas other people, when they're grounded too much and they're using too much force and push down the bottom, they'll do this instead. And they'll get caught halfway and they literally then can't stretch their vocal folds to go all the way up. So you've got to figure out where your weakness is and be able to connect your voice all the way through. Because before you go on camera, you want to make sure that your voice is loose, is hydrated, of course, and flexible and resilient and ready to make sound, because you don't want to get on camera and then be clearing your throat for the next 10 minutes. It's very annoying to both your listener and yourself, because then you've got mucus or things warming up properly. Okay, last one. Let's go again. Who found it easy? Hands up. No? Michelle did, Melissa did, Michelle didn't. Pretty easy? Okay, so that's using speech voice as well as the higher singing range. Okay, so we've basically got thick vocal fold closure and thin. That's what we're doing. We're moving it backwards and forwards. Now, easier with practice. Absolutely it is. Yeah, you're very welcome, Beth. It took a photo of it. Okay, good. Let's try a different one. This is to loosen up the tongue. Now, this is a little bit hard for people. It's called the raspberry. And I have a client, for instance, who, because of her culture, you don't stick your tongue out because it's a little bit, what's the word? Like rude or unfeminine because of her culture. And that's really interesting to know. So she's holding her tongue back all the time and very afraid of using her tongue in speech. So I'm going to make you use your tongue this time. It's literally. Now, if you've got tongue root tension and you've been used to holding your tongue in life because it wasn't safe for you to speak up, you might have a lot of difficulty with this. So stick your tongue out and let it go floppy. You can do it without sound first, like this. Sorry, I'm spitting everywhere. And see if you can just hold that for 5 to 7 seconds. Who can hold it with no sound for 5 to 7 seconds? Who can't? Who finds it difficult? Put your hand up so I can see you. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, we have some tension around this vocal process here, and it literally stops the tongue from working. It arrests the tongue. So let's try it with sound now. I can't do it without sound. Okay, yeah. It's hard for some people. Now we're going to add sound to it as well. Who can do it with sound? Yeah, and look, some people can't. And again, it's because the tension is too much in the vocal processes, mostly in the tongue and the throat area, which is going to be affecting your speech. So this is a really good exercise for anyone who has any throat tension. The sigh, remember that we did? Ah, that will get rid of throat tension. This. With easy and effortless. You don't want it to be hard for you. Easy and effortless. And then the raspberry. Really good warm up and relaxation exercises. Okay, last one. This is actually opening out to a vowel. So we're going to say the word yeah, like literally just yeah. Okay. Now what we want is clear, strong, and projected. And this is what I'll leave you here today. This is so important that we all sound like a leader when we get on camera, especially in business. You want to sound like a leader, right? If you want to influence people, you have to sound like you know what you're doing. Okay. So we're going to strengthen that bottom range of the voice, the speaking voice, like this. Yeah. Yeah. And you're just going to see if you can go a little bit higher every time. But what I don't want you to do is this. Yeah. I don't want you to rest that sound somewhere. We're only going to use the speaking voice. So let's make sure that we don't go above and into high voice right now. We're going to do this. Yeah. 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 We've got some good yawns going on there. That's good. It'll open the throat. Yeah. Give it a go. And I want you to just challenge your voice and see how high you can go in speech. So you can use lots of different pitches when you're speaking. Makes people interested in what you do. Give it a go. I want to see. Keep moving the bridge. Yeah. 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 Do you find that useful? Do you see how strong your voice can be when you really intentionally make it strong in the lower end? That's a workout. Yes, it is. Amanda says, very useful. Yeah. Jane says, this is really interesting. Yeah, look, people most walks of life, they don't have voice training. They didn't come from a background like I've had. And they don't have degrees in voice. It's not what the usual thing is in life. But here's this wonderful instrument that we've been given by nature, and most of us don't even know how to use it. We're using a tiny portion of it. And it really is our best asset in business. Your voice is your best asset in business, because not only do people see you, of course, and you show up with the way that you're promoting and presenting your products, but they're listening to you. on camera, on stage, on podcast, on webinar. Your voice is truly a tool for business. And I believe it's one of the most important and effective tools that we can have for success. Because if you sound confident, you're going to come across confident and you're going to reach more people. So did you guys find that helpful today? I could go on all day, of course. I have lots and lots of content, but I don't want to wear your ears out. Has anyone got any last minute questions? Hence the need radio announcers. Yes, they do voice training. I actually teach radio DJs as well. I teach a lot of motivational speakers, DJs, TV presenters, journalists, things like that. All of them need voice training. Thank you so much. Useful tools today. Excellent, excellent, great. Has anyone got any questions, last minute questions for me? And Melissa, do you have anything? Michelle says, as soon as I'm talking to camera, I don't sound like me. I talk slower, more monotone. And my daughter is like, Mom, what are you talking? What are you talking that way? Okay, I would say that is because you're trying to sound really serious and you want people to take you really seriously. And so you change your voice. But you're not being you if you do that. You just have to figure out a way that you can be authentically you and not try to be someone else. That's all. So just be true to who you are. Yes, you can always train your voice. Training your voice doesn't mean that you're not going to be you. If you dye your hair, it's still you, right? If you go to the gym and build more muscles, it's still you. Training your voice, it's just another muscle and it's just another tool that you can use. So please just be yourself. Yes, I have a webinar coming up. So I'd love to invite you all to the webinar. We'll make sure that link is in here. It's called The Voice of a Leader, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Speakers. And that'll be really useful for you. If you found this useful today, you might find that useful today as well. It's next Tuesday. I think it's at 10:30, but I have to check. It's on the link. It's on Eventbrite. Yes. So Melissa has just put that in the link in the Zoom. So if you have a look in the Zoom right now, you'll see that. You just click on that link and that will take you straight to Eventbrite. If you can't find it for some reason, just message me. And it's called The Voice of a Leader, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Speakers. It's a public speaker training and it's absolutely free. And it's about 80 minutes of really good content. So I'd love to invite you all there.
Thank you so much, Elisa. That was amazing. And I know everyone got lots of value out of this. We've got to go and practice now our warming up our voice before we do our videos today.
Yes. I want to see all your videos on the page. I'm looking forward to it.
I find that my voice is always croaky, nearly always croaky.
Ah, okay. So we're going to work on that.
Okay. Yay. I'm working with Elisa, so watch out.
Woohoo! Watch out, guys.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you so much for your time today, Elisa. I'm very grateful. Please go and check out her Facebook business page, which is?
Elisa James, Voice and Presentation Coaching.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us, guys. Have an awesome day. Go and shoot your videos. Warm